Exactly.
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
All right.
Lost me some,
Oh, are you invested now? You're invested in the Jenga stacking?
Well, he at least looked at your link. You didn't Google Alex Fernandez.
No, I was looking at something else, but I don't know, how dare I. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to YouTube. My name, of course, is Seth. Joining me tonight, we have Jacob and Earl. We are live on YouTube. We decided to push the show to tonight, given the run of matches that United has here. It's Saturday, Wednesday, and then Monday coming up. So we thought this would be a good opportunity for us to sit down and talk. A whole lot has been going on in the world of United and here in Albuquerque in general. And so, we just, a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. And first of all, thank you guys so much for being here. If you're enjoying the content here on the channel, if you're enjoying the podcast, if you're enjoying hanging out with us, I can't say each and every week because we did take last week off. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to hit subscribe on the channel and hit the bell so you get notifications as to when we do go live. Like I said, we took last week off. We've been doing this every week since the season began, pretty much. And we just needed a week off, and just a lot going on. Watching some community city council stuff, all sorts of things going on. But appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for checking us out. Earl is eating his dinner apparently, and as we got into this, watermelon. Okay, there you go. One of us is eating something healthy for once.
Yeah, I have to make up for all the beer I'm gonna drink this weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Earl is headed out of town, but I'm gonna be here. Jacob's probably gonna be somewhere around town, but we've got a lot to get to, folks. So before we get in the show, I do want to remind everyone we are still looking for content creators. If you are interested in joining us, you can. We're looking for writers, social media folks. We're looking for potentially someone to take a place every now and then on the podcast. Because we do need breaks occasionally. We do need some weeks off. We have families and lives and other things, and we'd love to have you on board. Again, this is not a paid thing. We pay for this all out of our own pockets. And we do this because we love the club, we love soccer, we love sports, and we generally have fun doing this. I think I think I can speak for all of us. I say generally because we enjoy talking about it, but it sucks when we talk about the bad parts of it. So
okay, hold on. I gotta get Earl's reaction here because his face said 1,000 words.
So let's not talk about the bad. Let's talk about the really fucking good.
Yeah,
there you go.
I tried one last night.
Yeah,
and I agree. It is delicious.
I expected something like super potent, something that's gonna put hair on my chest, and that was like really fucking good.
It's a good one.
All right, let's get right into our show, guys. We did start our stream just a few minutes late, but we're going to get right into it.
And for once, it wasn't my fault.
No, it was not your fault. There you go. Jacob was on time tonight. Jacob was actually early.
It was Alex Fernandez, the comedian, that was late.
Alex Fernandez in the WWE. That's what we're going to blame it on.
It's Troy's fault.
Hashtag Troy out. There you go. Troy's the reason we're late, folks. Sorry. Can't help it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for latest news and notes on New Mexico United, and sometimes weekly sports discussion about the biggest stories from the world of sports. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel. Here with me live tonight, we have Jacob Terrell and Earl Nieto. And guys, we're going to jump right into it. I have one burning question. Do you know how to draw?
That's so weird. No joke. So I've been in a class the last 2 days at the library. And when we take our little breaks from the Zoom class, I walk around, right? And I stopped today and I pulled out a black and yellow book called Drawing for Dummies and thought, I wonder if this book will actually work, because if it could teach me to draw, then it literally is for anybody, because I cannot draw whatsoever.
So how'd it go?
I don't know. I didn't get it. I had to go back to class, and then I forgot about it.
Okay.
Now that you reminded me, I might have to go to the library tomorrow and check out a book called Drawing for Dummies.
Drawing for Dummies. All right. Yeah, I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I mean, I can use Audacity to edit some stuff. But the last time that I drew anything was like back in middle school, so 25 years ago, basically. Uh,
You are old.
yeah, I'm old, dude. There's something that happened today. I'm like, oh man, I'm old. It really made me realize just the fact that I will be 37 this year. So it's like, man, getting up there. No, I obviously in school we were made to take art classes, and so I learned how to do a little bit of drawing, but I couldn't do anything now. I mean, it's something I've been interested in, and it's probably a skill that I need to pick up. So that maybe we can, one of us can design ourselves a new logo and not have to pay somebody else to do it. But yeah, no, it's something that I should probably learn how to do. And Earl, I know you shook your head earlier, but are you just like completely devoid of artistic skill, or do you just choose not to draw?
He's completely devoid of skill. Period.
Pretty much. You see, it's an artistic ability if I can spell my.
Yeah, there you go. If the far
So,
side
no,
taught
I-
us anything, it's school for the gifted isn't for everybody.
It's been a weird 15 minutes already.
It has, and it's been a weird week. It's been an interesting week, for us as United fans and us as local media. A lot of stuff going on. Obviously, Monday night, the Albuquerque City Council voted to put the stadium bond on the November ballot on the bond election by a vote of 7-2. And so the residents of Albuquerque will get a chance to vote on the future of basically United, future of the stadium, and vote whether or not to approve a $50 million bond for stadium. The design, the construction, and potentially also going towards the land rights. Now, the city, the state legislature last year already approved upwards of $7 million. I think it's somewhere between $7 and $9 million for the club for the city to make the land purchase wherever they go. So things are moving along. There was a community meeting tonight held by United. I know I was in attendance. I know you guys didn't attend. There was one other local media personality on there. And I have to say, I mentioned it in our group text earlier, everyone that spoke tonight was pro stadium. They did get some clarification on some questions they had. And, even going into that, I knew a lot of the information. But one of the big takeaways that I took out of that was that the club is really going to focus on their messaging for the next 2 months, making sure that the right information is out and that there are ways to disseminate that, whether it's flyers, mailers, whatever, social media campaigns. The club is absolutely dedicated to get their messaging right on this over the next couple months.
Well, that's good because, I mean, as you mentioned, you said in the meeting nobody there was anti-stadium. So that's because the people that are anti-stadium aren't going to seek out answers. They're going to have to be spoon-fed answers. And so whether that's seeing it on social media, seeing it on the news, getting it in their mail, whatever the case may be, it's going to have to be force-fed to them instead of them going out and finding a bowl of fruit like Earl has found tonight.
Yeah, and that's something that's really been bothering us, and we've talked about it a little bit. The local news media, the major outlets, I should say, KOAT, KOB, the Albuquerque Journal, KRQE, a lot of what they've put out has been coverage of the negative response to the stadium.
Negativity
and the
gets
bond.
clicks.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And you're right. And I saw some outlet today that I'd never even heard of before that put like 2 pro responses and 3 anti responses on it to a polling question they put out. I'm like, how is that even indicative? It's not even reporting. Like, you're just copy pasting what someone said. Like, you're not investigating anything. But sitting on that meeting with the club tonight, it was David Carl and Peter Trevisani that were on it from the club. And, you know, Peter went and gave a lot of background. And I know there's some folks that may still not be familiar with it, but, you know, the USL does require that by the end of year 3, there's at least a plan for a stadium in place. And Peter, he addressed, you know, the suggestions about other locations. UNM, Nusenda, you know, the places like that, Albuquerque Academy. And he said that places like that, especially Isotope Stadium and even the Lab and UNM, I double myself up. Places like the Lab and UNM, there's not enough room for the programming that they want to do. If you look at the biggest example that he gave was the scheduling. You know, he said it's extremely hard for United to even get their 16 home matches every year scheduled at the Lab. You know, scheduled around the Isotopes and when they play and things like that. And so the same thing goes over at UNM as another big reason why you can't do stuff there, because, you know, they have football, they have soccer, they have graduation, they have all sorts of other events going on, that finding room in there. And that's something we hadn't discussed before. And honestly, I hadn't even thought of it that way, but it's absolutely a consideration that has to be taken into account.
Well, and not only that, but, you know, even us playing at Isotopes Park, we have to schedule around not only the Isotopes, but we have to schedule around UNMs too because of parking.
Yes, exactly.
Because you can't, I mean, even if we were playing at UNM, we still couldn't play during an Isotopes game on the weekend because it's all the same parking.
Yeah.
All through there. So we just need to get out of that area completely and have our own parking and our own stadium, and to where we can schedule whatever we want. And that's why, like, the people that are out there saying that, oh, we can't even get a women's team, why do we need a stadium? We need a stadium before we can get a women's team, because we can barely schedule our home matches right now.
Yeah.
Let alone if we were trying to fit NWSL schedule in there at home, it wouldn't work. So you would need, I mean, even one stadium hosting the men's club and a women's club would be difficult, a little bit anyways, to get everything scheduled around each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone if you're trying to do it around baseball and football and women's college soccer and college tennis, because the tennis courts are over there, and track and field and everything else that goes on over there at UNM.
Yeah, you actually brought up something I was going to mention, the women's club. There's been a lot of talk about a women's club and the USLW, and you know, that's something that Peter brought up, you know, just completely, you know, on his own. He said that, you know, we want a women's club, but we need a stadium in order to do that. We need a place for them to play. And again, he went back to the scheduling issues, and you couldn't have UNM and us play on the same day. You know, it wouldn't work from a lot of different perspectives. And he didn't even go into the infrastructure. He did talk about stadium size and, you know, how small some of these other facilities are. They only hold, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 seats, things like that. And so there was just a lot going into it. Now, I know that the three of us are all pro stadium. We all want the stadium. Earl, if you did have a concern about the stadium, what would it be?
Traffic.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Obviously, just with right now in the Lab, traffic. I'm glad we stay late for press conferences, because I remember year 1, that shit sucked. You're parked for at least 20 minutes just trying to get out of the stupid parking lot. So yeah, so that's my biggest concern is traffic.
The thing about that is that no matter where you put it, no matter what mass gathering you have in the United States, traffic sucks leaving, period. No matter where you are, no matter what it is, no matter what city you're in, state you're in, if you get 10,000 people together in one spot, getting out of there is gonna suck. The only thing that can help it is public transportation, and I don't think enough people would take public transportation for it to really help. But man, if they could put it next to the rail runner and have a rail runner stop, um, I think that would help at least a little bit. But I don't know if you're going to ask the same question to me, Seth, but I have a slightly different answer.
Yeah.
And with the places that they're talking about putting it, there's not land readily available there, and so that does mean houses and businesses would have to be relocated, and I don't really like that, especially when we're in a state, and I mean Albuquerque doesn't have a whole lot of wide open spaces, but there's at least a few to take advantage of. But like I live in the middle of nowhere. There's plenty of open space out here, and I know there's open space nearer to Albuquerque that could do it. But it's a fine line between putting it somewhere where there's enough room for it without tearing anything down or moving anybody, but also keeping it close enough that people will want to go, and that Peter's talked about revamping areas of the city, and so it's a fine line. But at the end of the day, the two places that they mentioned as their top places, I'm okay with both of them, even if it is a little bit inconvenient having to move some stuff around. And I know that's easy for me to say. I live 2.5 hours outside of Albuquerque, so it's easy for me to look at it and go, yeah, move from a house that you might have lived in for 30 years so that we can build the stadium. But I don't really care for how that is going to go down if they choose one of the two places that they've highlighted the most.
Yeah, and that's something that Peter touched on. Talking to business owners, homeowners in the areas that are listed as preferred sites, and the feeling that the club has gotten from those conversations has been generally positive. That they're supportive of the club, and one of the things that Peter mentioned tonight is that some of those businesses that are down there, if you go back and look at where some of the riots and things were, during the Black Lives Matter movement, while all that was going on, all those protests were going on, the damage that happened down there, some of those businesses haven't even reopened yet.
Right.
And so, that's a consideration that they're looking at. Maybe some of those stores could become like a local vendor outside the stadium, things like that. And they've talked to homeowners, and some of those folks, he said that they've had, again, generally positive, and they're trying to do what they can for as many people as they can. Some of the things that they've gotten back from that in terms of positives is that some of the older folks who live in that area, who may be retired, could potentially, are excited about the possibility of working at the stadium. I mean, we talked to some of the ticket takers and employees out at Ice Stokes Park from time to time, and there's no reason that folks in that side of town couldn't do the same thing. And but one of the big important pieces of this is that the club and the city are working together on or are going to work together on a community benefits agreement. So it's not like the club is just coming in and pushing people out. They're not trying to displace people just for the sake of, oh, we got to have a stadium. They want to build that community and make sure that they're doing what they can for the people that live in those areas, so that they're not getting priced out of their homes. They're not getting, forced out, that we have, adequate security and lighting and transportation. You mentioned the rail runner. That was something that came up tonight too. Put the stadium in an area right by the rail runner. That could alleviate some of the traffic issues coming in and out of town. And Peter even mentioned, maybe it would allow for the opportunity to, have more like afternoon matches, like a 4:00 in the afternoon kickoff. And then you could have the rail runner running, north and south, folks from Los Lunas. He said, you could park in Los Lunas and take the rail runner into town for a match. Same thing for Santa Fe, park your car up there and take the rail runner in. And so there's a whole lot of things that are going in to this. There's a whole lot of things that are trying to take into consideration. And one of the biggest concerns that I've seen across social media is the funding. And while there are no like definite numbers yet, Peter did say they're hoping to potentially have some solid numbers in about 30 days or so, in terms of, you know, cost and things like that. And then also in terms of what United's contribution is going to be towards the stadium. And he said the club is already looking at a multi-million-dollar contribution. So it's not like it's not like the club is coming in and picking the city's pocket. Like, and something that people, again, that people need to understand, this is a city-owned property that will generate revenue for the city. Yes, there's the bond. That is a loan that will be paid back with interest. And once that bond is paid back, everything is going to go as revenue for the city. You know, the United as the main tenant, they're going to pay rent. The city's likely going to get revenue off of sales generated within the stadium. And so while the property itself won't generate real estate tax because it is, again, city owned, this is not a privately owned stadium. The city will be generating revenue off of this for years to come.
Yeah, I think that I think that slowly over the next few months that will be realized by a lot of people. And I'm actually in the last when was the last time we podcast? 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
a little over 2 weeks ago. I think in the last 2 weeks I've gotten way more optimistic of its chances. Obviously, like I said, I don't live there, so I can't vote on it. In fact, out of the three of us, only one of us can actually vote on it.
You guys can
But,
move in with me before you vote.
Yeah, fair.
Guys, use your address.
Yeah, there you go.
And name and likeness.
Yeah.
So I've come around to be more positive on it and thinking it's for sure going to pass. And because of that, I'm a lot less stressed about the off the field stuff. While my stress level about the on the field stuff maybe has gone up in the last few days.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second. But yeah, you know,
Damn it, Seth! I set it up perfectly.
you did,
and you just freaking threw it out the window and said, "No, I'm going to go back and ruin your perfect segue."
No, it was a fantastic segue, and I love that. And we're gonna, you know, I want to get the bees first before we get to the on the field stuff. But I just want to say, you know, over the next 2 months, you know, we're gonna be talking about the stadium. We're gonna be figuring out ways. We're probably gonna be putting out social media stuff. You know, the club's gonna be putting out stuff, talking points, things like that. So if you're listening to this and you're someone who's not necessarily for the stadium, if you're anti-stadium, if you're undecided, get involved. Look for the club's community meetings. Get involved. Ask questions of the club. You know, find out what's going on. You know, we'll be happy to talk to anybody about it. You know, come pop in the chat, talk with us. We will help clear up any misconceptions that you might have. You can email David at the club, david@newmexicoutd.com. Email David, email Peter. You know, they gave people that option tonight. Email those guys. Get involved, figure out, you know, find out what's going on with it. Don't just blindly accept what people are saying across social media or even in person. So that's in that. And you know, you guys, you know, there's been some issues. There's been some concerns about on the field display that we've been seeing. But on Tuesday morning, New Mexico United did announce the transfer of former New Mexico United player Chris Wehan back from Orange County for a supposed record intra-league transfer fee from Orange County Soccer Club, who incidentally fired their coach today. So Bees came back, made his 2021 debut for the club on Wednesday night. Before we get into the actual match from Wednesday, what'd you guys think about the hang
Pause.
on. All right, guys, 2 seconds. Hold on.
I blame Earl for this one.
Yep.
It actually was Earl. He tried new fucking headphones. The fucking garbage.
All right, guys, hold on.
Sorry about that. I won't do it again.
That's all right, Earl. It happens. We just gotta get you a. I think I got these headphones here for like $20.
I'm gonna try these ones before you hit record.
Yeah.
I think you know what to do. Headphones. Okay. All right, that should be good. Now I can hear you guys. Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. I can actually hear like your jaw pop. When you
Okay. All right. All right, there we go. We've got our Zencaster going again. So, as I was saying, before we get to actual talk about the play on the pitch from Wednesday night, Chris Wehan, what were your guys' reactions to the announcement of Bees coming back to the club? Earl, let's start with you.
I was excited. I was excited about it since Jacob's throwing shit at his wife. I was really excited about it. I kind of put two and two together about the night before going into the morning. Especially after you guys said it could be Bees, whatever. He was pissed off at his coach or some whatever the hell it was. Then I started thinking 14 backwards is 41. So yeah, it would be it. I couldn't think of anyone else that it could be. I'm hoping he's the answer, or at least a start to the answer, because God, we look pretty terrible without him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably the second easiest thing to figure out after Najim. Najim was pretty much a guarantee that it was Najim coming back when they announced his. And Wehan was kind of an obvious answer, I felt, anyways, especially after the 41 and everything that we already that Earl already talked about. And you know, I'm super excited about it. I you know, we were at the press conference last night, and we mentioned it was in fact it was Najim and Dev were there, and they talked about what a great person he is, just period, just as a human being, and how that helps them, and then not only that, but on the pitch, just what he's able to create. Don't you freaking dare, Earl! I saw you grab it, put it back right now. Anyways, and even Najim kind of admitted that that maybe what we're lacking is some creativity and some imagination and touch in the final third. So I still have a slight concern that that's not going to fix the offense. It will help it for sure. I don't think you can, especially not to jump ahead, but watching last night's match when he came on, I don't think you can look at how we looked after he came on and say, oh, that wasn't a giant improvement from the rest of the second half, at least. So he's going to help. Is he going to be exactly what we need to get that offense over the hump? I don't know. Time will tell on that one. I'm hoping what I'm really hoping for is to have Kalen and Brown and him and Wehan all in the starting lineup coming up against Austin, because I think that's going to be our best bet. And look, Devin scored. He did. He is I think he's got 3 goals on the season and is tied for the lead in goals for us. Wehan comes in with 4, but of course those were all with Orange County. And yeah, he scored. It was, first of all, a beautiful freaking cross by Najim. That, I mean, he just placed it on top of Devin's head. And look, I'm not going to say that finishing that is easy, because it's not. But at the same time, yeah, he scored 3 goals in 18 matches now. That's not good enough. Like he's not the goal scorer that we need. So for all of the people saying, "Oh, where the haters at now?" After he scored, I'm still right here. I haven't changed my tune. One goal does not change my opinion, um, and this is all on Devin as a finisher, and all of the whole team as a finishing, just getting those final couple touches. I love Devin as a person. He's a great human being. I had the chance to sit down with him one on one during season one and interview him, and he is the face of the franchise. And because he's the face of the franchise, I don't necessarily have a problem with him starting more often than not. But the team as a whole, including him, are not scoring goals, and that is the major problem. So, a healthy Brian Brown mixed with Chris Wehan, and then having Kalen on set pieces again, I think is a huge deal for our offense. And I hope we get to see what some kind of full and healthy lineup with Wehan in it looks like in the next couple weeks, because we're going on the road for 2 matches here, and I don't know if y'all know this, but our road record this year has been atrocious. So we need something to get us through these two road matches, and we're sitting 6th, guys. I mean, it's not okay, and so I think Wehan will help. I hope he helps enough, but we'll see what he does the next 2 matches and go from there.
Yeah, speaking of last night, New Mexico United did, of course, end up in a 1-1 draw with bottom dwellers Oakland Roots, and in the first ever meeting between the two clubs. I know we had hoped that Salih would be there last night. He did, in fact, travel with the club. They traveled with 20, according to their staff member that was in the press box last night. But Salih was taken. So apparently, Salih found out about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon that he was not going to be in the 18. And I know that he was there in the stadium. He was talking with folks, hanging out.
I did not tell you this last night, but I did actually see him and talk to him for a brief second. I didn't mention why he wasn't. I didn't ask why he wasn't playing anything. I just said it was good to see him, and we missed him, and he was actually talking to some of Sandoval's family. So it wasn't a huge long conversation, but he was in good spirits. He was happy. I don't know if that was just because he was talking to a family, obviously not his family, but family nonetheless in the eyes of United. So that was nice. I was glad I got to see him. I was bummed that he wasn't in the 18 and didn't get actually to play on the pitch.
Yeah, the guy from Oakland up in the box, he seemed absolutely surprised that he wasn't even in the 18, and that he didn't really understand the coaching decision that were being made around Salih, and that for the most part, Salih had been used as like a 4th center back, which is not Salih's natural position.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was super bummed for him. He was bummed, and obviously Salih was bummed. I know he said, the Oakland guy was like, I'm sure you guys would be okay if it ended up 3-1 with, Salih getting the goal. I'm like, yeah. All of us at the box were like, yeah, absolutely. We would love to see Salih get a goal, if we get the win. But, disappointing to say the least. Didn't get to see him, didn't get a, but basically give him a welcome back on the pitch, because I know the fans would have welcomed him back with a huge cheer.
I didn't hear their conversation like whatsoever, but just the way he was acting with the fans, because he was down there. I sat with a friend of mine in 115, which is right there in the center of the pitch, and Salih was right there at the top of it when I saw him after the match, talking to several people and everything, and I just body language and me reading into things could be completely wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back next year. Oakland went out and they didn't sign him. He was a transfer. If you looked at it, he was a transfer from United to Oakland, which means they paid money to get him other than what they pay him, which is, fairly rare in USL terms, and have not played him hardly at all. I think he only has like 200 and some minutes on the year. I was looking at it last night. And so I can't imagine he's thrilled with that. I know he's from there, much like Weehan in Orange County, but I think these guys are kind of realizing that home isn't necessarily where you grew up. It's where you feel the most comfortable, and I think they may want to come back over here and have their black and yellow family back.
Yeah, it was funny being up in the box. David Carl offered to let them have a sixth sub if they would just throw him in the 18 and use that sub only for Salih. There was also a suggestion that we sign Salih for the night just to or loan him just for the night, get him on the pitch. So there was some interesting ideas being floated around about how to get him out there so that the United supporters could send him off, basically welcome him back, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, the night wasn't all about Salih. Obviously we welcomed the Oakland Roots in, and match started off pretty well. Oh, you mentioned the early header from Dev, great delivery from Naj on that after that corner, and things seem to be going pretty well. And Troy talked about it in the post match. From minutes 10 to 30, basically United was pressing. I was looking for that second goal, and Dev mentioned they were trying, and he had some opportunities he couldn't finish, and something that we didn't really get to talk to them about in the presser was the fouls that we were giving up. And you saw it right around the half hour mark, just after it, we started getting some fouls in some bad spots. We've talked about Andrew Tenari and his tenacity on the pitch, his bulldog mentality, and unfortunately, he gave away a foul around 25, 30 yards out, basically straight ahead, and Wallfall put a fantastic strike. Put a fantastic strike on the ball, went off the bottom of the crossbar and into the net to level that out. And, and unfortunately no one was able to score from that point on. But Earl, watching that first half, what were some of your biggest takeaways? Do you feel like we should have had that second goal early on? Do you feel like we squandered our chances?
So I don't think we squandered it. We definitely didn't capitalize on it. There was, because I obviously watched from home, so I had the chance to rewind it and go back and watch it again more than one time. So it's not that we squandered it. We definitely did not take advantage of what we had. There was a couple times where Sergio just rocketed it to God knows where.
Mm-hmm.
Dev obviously got the first header, which was nice. I was excited for that part, but then he just could not put one again. I mean, he had chances, and it was either he kicked it too low, or he just didn't take it. There was one time where Amando kind of like granny kicked it to, I guess, just get rid of the ball. I think if he would have put his heart and actual focus onto it, we would have been up 2. And then second half, there was one time where Cello had a clear line. It was him and the goalie looking eye to eye, and he passed it out and didn't take it.
Yeah, there were definitely some questionable decisions that were made, and we'll get to a few of them later on. Earl, what was your take on the press from Oakland?
I was actually impressed with the press, especially with them coming from sea level. I don't know if United just laid off or if they were taken off guard by them, but Oakland definitely brought the press, and they definitely ran with it for a good 40, 45 minutes, from about halfway through the first half to about halfway through the second half, almost to the end of it. But they're definitely not wanting us to score, for sure. It was not the 10-point Oakland Roots that I've seen play. It was definitely a team that looked like they were tired of losing.
Yeah, the press that they used it's kind of a variation of what we do, and we really haven't seen too much of this year from United. But with Oakland, what they did, and at times you could see them pressing as basically up into our 6 yard area. And they were definitely trying to prevent us from playing out of the back, which is what we want to do. We want to build the play from the back. And I think we handled it fairly well in terms of not making mistakes, especially through the first half. And we were able to distribute the ball around and get the ball forward. So I think that did make a difference. But at the same time that they were doing that, and you saw it more so in the second half, their defensive line really didn't even get up to the midfield line. They kind of stayed back about 5-10 yards back from the midfield line and for much of the match, and that gave them the ability to drop back a lot faster and organize their defense a little bit better, and kind of stopped us from doing what we wanted to do in the final third. Jacob, looking at the second half, obviously things started out kind of slow once again, both sides. Both sides, really kind of feeling each other out, and Bees came on in the 60th minute and seemed to basically jumpstart the club a bit. Even with him coming on, we saw some decisions being made where it looked like we might have had some chances going on goal. We saw one in particular where Amando was going in on a run. Bees had possession, and you see Moreno calling for the ball. You could see him wanting it, and Bees, I don't know if Bees just didn't have his head up. I think he might have been looking the other way. Didn't get there. Similar play later on. Bees makes this run into the box, calling for it, and they don't get the ball over to him. Do you think at times we were playing without our heads up and not really looking for that final pass, and instead just trying to look for a pass to move the ball back around or reset it?
Well, it's a loaded lead in right there, but I will address the one play that you talked about. I know that it looks like Bees had a line. I know the exact play you're talking about, and I was right behind Bees from where my seats were. And with the way he was set up, like his body angle, the way his feet were, like he didn't have a chance. Like the ball wasn't sitting there perfectly for him to take a shot to get it to Moreno, and it would have taken some creativity and just perfect touch to get it to him. So that one I don't look at that and go, oh my gosh, what's going on? There was some way after Weehan came in where it was, you saw what Weehan can bring and the way he can change this dynamic or change the dynamic of this offense, but they just weren't quite on the same page after a day, maybe two of training together. And I know that they had last year, but that's a whole off season and then half of the season this year that they haven't been together. So things changed just a little bit, and they just we talked about how the ball just kind of kept getting stuck under Weehan's feet when he would get a pass. It wasn't hitting him perfectly in stride, and I think we see that timing and those touches and stuff kind of come around the more these guys up front get to play with each other. But when you mention playing with your head down, I think Amando was guilty of that a lot last night. I think what Amando does, and I could be way off, and I'd love to ask him this. He's just never in the press conference. I think he puts a lot on himself, and he says, "Oh, I have to do this. I have to be the one to dribble through 6 defenders and score because the team really needs a goal right now." And instead of playing with his head up and making a drop off pass here or seeing a cutter in front of him there, he just looks down at the ball and tries to dribble through 6 guys and get a shot off. And honestly, he did that a few times last night. We saw him the play that Earl was referencing. I mean, he just didn't connect with the shot. And had he connected with a shot and not hit it right at the keeper, we are up 2-0 at that point, and it's a completely different ball game. Devin mentioned last night a saying that he hates, but is very true, and that's goals change games. And if you're able to step on the throat after that first goal and get a second one, maybe even a third one, then Oakland doesn't matter if Wallfall scores that free kick or not, or if Tenari gives up that foul or anything like that, because we have a cushion. And chances are, if we can jump on them 2-3-0 in the first 20 minutes, their heads are going to be down. They're not going to be thrilled. They're going to be even more tired. They're going to be more pressing, and leave themselves vulnerable to attacks because they're pushing up so high, and that changes everything. So I do think that Moreno, I think this Wehan acquisition, while not only benefiting us just because of what Wehan can do, I think it'll take some of the weight off of Amando and Brown and Dev, and realize, hey, we've got this, world-class player back on the team to help us in this attack, so we don't feel like we have to do everything when we touch the ball. So I'm very, very happy that he's back, and I'm very pleased with what we saw last night. When you compare that to Saturday's match against El Paso, that 30 minutes that Wehan was in is the best that we've looked offensively in a while, even if it was just slightly off. So, Earl mentioned if we drew, that he'd have to take a look at the panic button, and I've been somehow the most optimistic person on this podcast, is the one that has been talking about the panic button the most this whole season, and the only reason why I'm not hovering over it right now is because Wehan did change a lot of things, and it did show that the club realizes something was off and needed to do something. And there was a player available of Wehan's caliber for whatever reason in Orange County. I don't know what the hell went on over there. I know that he thanked the players and the coaches. I think the front office was more of the issue over there, and to that, I say thank you for giving us a player of Wehan's Wehan's capabilities, but also you're welcome, because we did give you the largest USL transfer free, whatever the hell that means. Me and Clint, I ran into Clint Gray, and we were like, yeah, that could mean anything. That could be, you could tell me it was 20,000. You could tell me it was 2 million. I don't know.
Rumor is it was the transfer fee was somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000. That was actually reported by a reporter out of LA, but apparently that was also disputed by Beats' wife. Apparently she made a comment that the details of the contract were confidential, but that he was incorrect and he needed to double check his sources. So
and see, it's the one thing that drives me nuts about this damn league, is that all that stuff is behind the wall, and you just can't find it. And I get it to an extent, but I'm a public official, or public, I don't know what it's called, but my wages are printed in the paper every time I get a raise. So you can pick up a Debaka County newspaper and see what I make, or you can just go to the city hall and say, hey, I need to fill out a paper asking for a request on what these people make, and it's right there. And then if you look at literally any other sport and any other major league in America, it's all transparent. So why can't this? I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, I was talking to Dylan from the Orange and Black Soccer Cast over the weekend about it. He was one of the first folks to mention on social media that it was potentially bees, and he gave me a little bit of insight, and in our conversation, we both agreed that this league is in desperate need of transparency, especially when it comes to player contracts and things like that. And I know that he's been Dylan has talked a bit about injury transparency as well, which would be nice to have. But that's getting us a little bit off of where we want to be. But you mentioned us being not quite there. B's only training for basically a day and maybe 2 days with the club. Earl, there was a general feeling from a couple folks in the press box last night that in the second half we tried to get a little too cute with the ball, trying to flick the ball up and over and doing some little funny looking things with it. What did you think about some of the passes that were being made and how we were attempting to get the ball into the box?
So I don't know if you can read my mind or not, but that's exactly what I was gonna bring up. Was the fact that we get too fucking cute with any kind of fucking play we try to do. Whether it's Alex Tambakis trying to clear a fucking kick or Sergio Rivas trying to drive the ball up the pitch, there's always, oh, yeah, by the way, kids, if you're listening to this,
there's the illicit tag. There's what I've been waiting for all night. I'm just going to sit back now and watch the show.
This is just the start. Because there's more. Because I decided last night to stick my nose in the fucking Reddit streams.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
was that you commenting, Earl?
So, yes, I do like my couch, and I do prefer a fucking sofa. And I do also prefer Coke over fucking Dr. Pepper.
All right, also, I know exactly who you are on Reddit now. Thank you.
Spring crime guy, and I don't even know how the name came up. Yeah. I don't know how my Reddit tag is whatever the fuck it is, but whatever it is. Anyways, back to the question: do I think they get too cute? Yes. Do I think it's fucking frustrating when Alex Tambakis can't catch a fucking free kick, but he has to try to let it roll off his fucking hand, hopefully to flick it up at the right fucking possible time?
Wait, no. Pause right now, Earl. If you're talking about the goal, you need to shut your mouth. Because that was a beautiful goal, and there's no way he's stopping that.
It is a beautiful goal. It is. I'm not taking anything away from the fucking goal. What I am taking away is the fact that was a stoppable goal.
No, it wasn't.
Not try to stop the ball like this, and instead close his hand and maybe go with two.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing
moving
this.
on. Carrying on. Do I think it's frustrating when we have my favorite fucking person, Mr. JPG, not able to complete a forward fucking pass without turning it over? Yes. Do I think it's frustrating that all he can fucking do is pass it backwards? Of course. Do I question Troy on why he starts him every fucking week? Yes. Is that one of the only things that Troy does wrong? More than likely. Because if you look at fucking Reddit, everything Troy does is wrong. He could start fucking Lionel Messi with fucking Ronaldo, and he's still wrong for it. So you on Reddit that decide to be fucking idiots, you're exactly that. You're a fucking idiot. Do I wish that the team would just play fucking ball and just dribble the ball like an average person and not some kind of fucking hero? Yes, I do wish that. I do wish Sergio would just pass the ball instead of trying to dance around and two-step with fucking Yuma. Just fucking pass the ball. More likely there's someone open to fucking kick and score. My ranting's done.
All right. Yeah, so that explains a lot. And
sorry, kids, for cutting so much.
And to your point, talking about social media, the username Spring Crime has for quite a while been very against Troy, and so I mean that's nothing new. I got aggravated. Honestly, I got aggravated with him a couple weeks ago, talking about hashtag Troy. And I'm like, all right, I can't do it. I can't deal with that. Like it's okay to be critical of your club, but there are things that are going on that you cannot hold Troy accountable for. Like if we're not finishing our opportunities, you can't hold Troy accountable for that. That's on the players. There's no amount of coaching that can make the ball go into the net.
That's exactly up last night. So I made the comment.
You can
where
teach them to
Suggsy-
shoot the ball, Jacob. I see your face there. You can teach them to shoot the ball towards the net, but you can't actually physically make the ball go in the net.
No, but you can
So,
you
and
can you can
So I
put
made
them.
a comment last night.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I
Go
made
ahead.
the comment last night
Go ahead.
that I fucking hate you so fucking much. See, this is why you get to that pink fucking flag. This is why. So there was a point last night on the Reddit stream where I commented, "Is that Troy's fault too?" And it was where Suggsy, instead of passing the ball back into the pitch, let it dribble out. But so when I asked, is that Troy's fault too? Because everything he does and all his coaching sucks, supposedly, if you ask fucking crime time, springtime, or spring cleaning time, whatever the fuck you want to call his name. Regardless of what his fucking name is, I asked, is that Troy's fault too? Nothing. But yet the next comment was hashtag Troy out. And I made the next comment of it's bullshit that he keeps doing it because Troy's not going anywhere this year.
Can I say that all of you are wrong and right? Like there's it is coaching that puts the players in better position to finish. It is there are things that he can do and try to implement that will not put the ball in the back of the net, but maybe raise our chances of putting the ball in the back of the net. Maybe he can tell Moreno not to dribble with his fucking head down. Maybe if he sees that happening too much, he can pull Moreno aside and say, "Hey, pick your fucking head up," or "I'm gonna pull your ass." Something along those lines. Like there are things that he does, leaving Juan Pablo Guzman in when he's having a shit game. Now that wasn't necessarily the case last night. I'm not gonna bag on Juan Pablo last night. Leaving Devin in on Saturday and taking Moreno out when that probably wasn't the smart move. There are things that coach does that I completely and utterly disagree with. That does not mean I want him fired, but he and maybe it's just you guys seemingly going to the other end of the extreme because these guys are on the extreme, but he has to be held accountable for some things. And
no, he absolutely should be.
And not only that, but last night especially, what my turn to rant just a little bit. What pissed me off last night was how in the hell is an Oakland Roots team that pressed for more of the match than we did, fresher halfway through the second half than we are. I don't care about matches played. I understand that they have played several less matches than us. The fact of the matter is they played this weekend, we played this weekend, and then they traveled to over a mile high and still looked like the team that wanted it more. And that is coaching. That is I love Troy. I love what he preaches about family and being this tight-knit group, and you can see it in a lot of ways. The problem with having that tight-knit group is if one of them hangs their head, it seems like they all hang their head. And in the second half, it seemed like they hung their head until Weehan came on. And then they were like, oh, hey, yeah, we can do this. And I don't understand that mentality. And that is more on Troy than it is on the players to me. So, yes, he should not be fired. The hashtag Troy out movement is bullshit. But at the same time, I feel like you guys tend to go way over here and paint him with this rainbow of a brush, saying it's all shitting rainbow sherbet out of your ass and sprinkles, and it's not. There are mistakes, and I know that we have talked about mistakes that we feel Troy has made. So I know that you guys are agreeing with me. I just feel like once we get on the podcast, you guys tend to go way to the positive side when it comes to Troy, and less on the critical side just because of how much criticism is out there on social media.
I mean, I to an extent, I think that's fair, but at the same time, like I have, you can't blame Troy for shit passes against El Paso a few weeks ago.
No,
within
no,
a minute.
you can't.
See, there's certain things you can't put on Troy, but there are things that you can. Like you talk about the mentality aspect, the dropping of the heads, like, and that's on Troy. That's on the guys. Like, miss a couple attempts that you probably should have put in the back of the net, and then all of a sudden they score on a banger, and the heads drop, and there's a loss of momentum, loss of spark. That's on everybody. Troy's got to find a way to get those guys back up. Questionable subs, absolutely. Last year when the 5-sub rule came into place, I think by the end of the season we used like 94% of all available subs or something like that. And we see matches this year where we're only using 3 subs, which makes zero sense. I mean, you've got the 5 subs available, use them. Over the weekend against El Paso, Dev is not a 90-minute player anymore. Why leave Dev on the pitch for 90 minutes? Absolutely, Troy deserves some criticism for some of the things that happens. But you can't put all of it on him. You can't put poor execution on the pitch on Troy.
But in a way you can, because he I'm gonna pick on Juan Pablo Guzman because I can. Juan Pablo Guzman has been atrocious at times. He's been atrocious at times this year. Yet, who leads the team in midfield minutes played? Juan Pablo Guzman.
Time out.
Yes.
Time out.
Yes.
You said he's atrocious at times?
Look, man, he wasn't that bad last night. He wasn't bad last night. I thought he had a solid game for a defensive midfielder who we don't expect much out of. But the bottom line is so you obviously think he's atrocious all the time. Troy's the one that has kept him here for 3 years as the technical director. Troy is the one who keeps giving him the most minutes out of any midfield player that we have. And Troy is the one that keeps giving him 90 minutes, not even pulling him, like, when we've seen him play absolutely terrible, Troy's the one that leaves him in. So occasionally when Guzman just turns and passes it right to a Colorado Springs player and gives them a one-on-one fast break with Galen Ryden, that can be on Troy, because Troy is the one that pulls every string with this club. Peter is the owner and has said he knows nothing about soccer, basically, and not so many words. So Troy is the soccer brain of this club. And if that soccer brain of this club is signing guys like Guzman and leaving him in when he's playing terrible and leaving Dev in for 90 minutes and doing this and doing that, then at times, yeah, the poor decision-making by the players is on Troy too, because he's the one playing him and he's the one signing him.
I mean, we could disagree with Troy's choices and who starts and who he subs on and things like that. Troy has always maintained that he's going to put out whoever he feels gives us the best possible chance to win. Yeah, and exactly. while we've talked about JPG a lot over this season about some of the poor execution that he's had. The actual execution, the decisions that he's making, that's on JPG. Now, should he be out there? That's on Troy. So there's two completely different things. If Troy is going to trust JPG enough to be out there, JPG has to be better. He has to make better decisions. He has to execute better. Troy can't make him execute better.
But Troy can put him on the bench. And if it's one... Azira? Somebody? I mean...
Who can only go a good 45 minutes, maybe?
Then that's on Troy to have Guzman as the only player that can play that position after this offseason. That's on Troy still, because we don't have anybody that can play that position. And I will take this with a slight grain of salt. The match that we saw Sam get injured in, he was playing a defensive midfield role. And I loved that. And I thought that it was going to be huge to have that versatility and to try and kind of change up that defensive midfield look with Guzman and Zira really being our only kind of sixes back there. So to have Hamilton be gone now until who knows when later in the year, I know they're still optimistic that he will be back before the end of the year, but to have that taken away, I'll give Troy a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, coming into this year, re-signing Guzman or exercising an option or signing him to a multi-year deal to begin with, I don't know. That and having him as the only player that can take that spot is a problem on Troy as well. So I think there are three things going on here. There are players not performing because the players aren't performing, and that's on the players. Yes. There are coaching decisions being made as far as subs and starting lineups and who's in the 18 and who's not. That's on Troy, the coach. But then there's Troy, the technical director, that is the one in charge of the signings. And I think that you can look at both of those jobs that Troy has and say he has shortcomings in both of those situations at times. Again, not enough to fire him, not enough for the hashtag Troy out movement. I'm just playing devil's advocate here because, well, to be completely honest, I'm frustrated. I'm not to spring roll 69's level of frustration with Troy. But at the same time, I look at it. You like that? At the same time, I'm looking at us in sixth place in this division after thinking that it was just going to be us and El Paso fighting for it and just dogging it out. And now, fuck it, dude. El Paso's gone. We're not catching El Paso. If you think we're catching El Paso, you are high as a kite on something, because that's not going to happen. It's going to be a dogfight to catch Colorado Springs, in my opinion. I know that they're right there with RGV, but Colorado Springs is on the upswing, and they could run away with second place pretty easily, in my opinion. So it's going to be tough to get the playoffs right now with the position that we put ourselves in. And it's a mix of players not performing. It's a mix of coaching not being done right. It's a mix of the roster build. It's a mix of all of that. And when 2/3 of that is Troy and 1/23 of it is the players, I'm not happy about it. So every freaking press conference, Troy does this Jedi mind trick on me where I go into the press conference and I'm pissed. And then after the press conference, I'm like, man, that's a fucking great dude. I love that dude. I'd take a bullet for that dude. and it's this weird thing that I can't figure out. And that just speaks to Troy as a person. He's just a great dude, and I love him to death. But that doesn't mean I can't be critical of him or think that he is screwing up in some ways. So when I take a look and I step back and I kind of take my love of him and my media and kind of tap back into the fan more than anything else, and I look at it, it sucks, dude. And it's at least half Troy's fault because he's the one in charge. Like, you can't. That's how stuff happens. Is when you're in charge, you have to have the responsibility. Even if the players are fucking up, which they do, they're the ones not putting it in the back of the net. We talked about it a lot, but it's. I can be frustrated because a guy had a chance and took it, and instead of hitting it 2 feet to the left, hit it right at the keeper, which there's probably never going to be a point in my life. There was never a point in my life where I could have done better at that. And I'm not saying I could do better than Troy at what he does, but I know that doesn't take my body, at least. And it's a little more easy to control what you do with your mind than you do with your foot. So it's just frustrating, guys. It really is. I'm not happy. We should be better. We have all the fucking talent in the world. Whether it's, I know we've had some injuries. We had Amondo leaving. I mean, there's plenty of excuses in there that we could make. The bottom line is Saturday and Wednesday were both 1-1 draws that should have been 2-0 wins. And that's a multitude of reasons. But no matter what the reasons are that happened, I'm still not happy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's been a tough stretch of matches, and I know we didn't talk about El Paso, but I mean that one ended on a downer as well. And honestly, like El Paso's goal came off a deflection, which is really unfortunate. But again, we didn't put them away, and so I mean, there's things that this club definitely have to be. This club has to work on. This club has to get better at if we're going to make the playoffs. Right now, the difference between second place and sixth is 5 points. So aside from El Paso, the other 3 spots are up for grabs still, if you ask me. And so there's a very real possibility that we could make it as the number 2 seed. There's a very real possibility we don't make the playoffs at this point. Something has to change. And I think for these guys, we got to see something Monday night in Austin. And Austin is a team that's been playing.
We've been saying that the last 3 matches, though. We've got to see something against El Paso. Oh, 0-0 draw. We got to see something against El Paso. Oh, the latest equalizer possible. Well, we got to beat Oakland, right? I mean, it's Oakland, and they're coming here on a short week. Like, we got to beat them. 1-1 draw. Like, at the end of the day, we can't keep saying we've got to do something at ... or against ... Like, we just can't keep doing that. So it's going to come to a point where we're going to keep saying that, and then it's going to be, you know what? It doesn't matter if we do anything now. We're fucked. So yes, you're correct. We have to do something against Austin. That is, we'll have to show up there and get a result of some kind. But if we have to keep saying that, there's, like, everybody's saying there's 14 matches left. There's 14 matches left. Like, it's a lot. It's not a lot. And especially when, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the 14 are against our group. Those are massive, massive points that we need against San Antonio and Austin and Colorado Springs and RGV. Like, I mean, those are worth double in all reality. So it's, you lose 2 of those matches and you're definitely in an uphill battle all of a sudden. So Austin's big. Austin's probably the most likely to fall out, in my opinion, out of the ones that are up there above us right now. But in order for them to fall out, we got to go in there and beat them.
Yeah, no, we absolutely do. And Austin is a club. They are 1, 2, and 3 in their last six matches. Their only win coming against Colorado Springs. More recently, they lost to El Paso 3-0, drew with Miami, of all people, 0-0. And then, let's see, they drew with RGV 1-1. So, I mean, Austin's a team, they've kind of underperformed a bit this year. I think from where some people expected them to be. I think for our purposes, I think they're overperforming at this point. With a few more days of practice, with Bees being back, what do you guys think we see Monday night?
Well, I'll fight back just a little bit. I think they're right where I thought they would be. I don't think they're underperforming or overperforming for me, anyways. I thought they would be right there battling for that 4 seed. And their form as of late, like you mentioned, not the best, but hey, they have a win in their last 5, so that's more than we can say. As for Monday night, the first half, I expect us to do what we always do, and then it's come out strong. and I wouldn't be surprised to see us score first and maybe even have the lead at halftime. What it's going to come down to me is being able to find a second or third goal and then being able to hold on if it gets late and we're only up by one, being able to hold on to that lead because we have not been able to do that very often. Let's see. Let me check something real quick. Yeah. So, are we going to see the same Austin Bold double park the bus that we saw the last time we played them?
Not at home. Not at home. I think they're gonna come out and play a little bit more attacking than what we saw when they came here. But it's hard to say. I mean, really, it really is. But that's what I think. I think that them playing a more attack-minded formation Monday night is going to open up chances for us.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that the first time we played them at the lab, and it ended up 3-1 in our favor. So, we need that kind of result. That doesn't mean we're going to get it, but at least if they allow themselves to be vulnerable at the back, I mean, they do have at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, their keeper is either first or second in goals against average. They have not given up very many goals at all this year, and their defense has been pretty stout at home and away. So let's see here. Yeah, so they've conceded 19 goals or 1.1 per game, but they do have 7 clean sheets. So it seems like they either shut you out or they give up multiple goals more often than not. So I don't think they're going to shut us out unless they park the bus again. So if you think we're going to see more of an attacking one, and I tend to agree because nobody wants to play a park the bus type game plan in front of their fans, then I think we see multiple goals, or at least a chance of multiple goals for sure.
Earl, what are your thoughts on the match for Monday?
So, unfortunately, I do see them trying to park the bus again. I see us going up one. I think they get the equalizer close to the second, close to the half. Then they come out and it's just a snooze fest with them just jamming the box and not letting anything through. So kind of spoiled my prediction right there, but I do see them parking the bus only because we score and they try to just eke it out and just draw as much as they possibly can out of it.
All right, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of, we say it all the time. Every match is going to be tough. We need the points. We need good results. We're gonna need some help too. Like I said, I think Austin comes out. I think they play a little bit more attacking. I think it opens up our opportunities for us. I think a few more days in training gives Bees a little bit better chance to gel with some folks. And I think we look better on Monday. I think we looked better for much of the match last night and against El Paso. That's not to say we were perfect. We weren't, great, but we looked better than we have in other matches. And so I think heading into Austin, I think the guys are going to be ready. I think, I think they're going to have some intense training here the next couple days. And for me, I see another 2-1 us down there.
You mentioned that we've looked better, and to me, I mean, you look at the schedule. RGV felt like we played great or played fine. They scored on a fluke. All 4 of the El Paso matches, I felt like we were the better club. We just had a 2-minute spurt in the one that we lost, and then we gave up 2 late goals in the 2 that we drew 1-1, and then we just couldn't find the back of the net in the other ones, or in the other one. two 3-1 wins back to back, Austin and Colorado Springs. The Loudon match you can chalk up to the ref. The first Real Monarchs match, we didn't look great, but we found a way to win. Austin parked the bus on us, so we held possession. We kicked their ass. Just couldn't do it. San Antonio at home, we were clearly the better club. Probably one of our best games of the year. Colorado Springs, when we lost 3-1, you're like, oh man, that was just Haji Berry kicking our ass. So I thought we played well. Just Haji Berry tore us apart. The Real Monarchs game that we lost, they scored some bangers. What can you do? Then you have a 3-1 win and a 2-1 win at home. Thought we played great. The only match that I can look at and say we really sucked that match was San Antonio in San Antonio. Everything else, I feel like we've been a great club, or at least a good club, and have been in the match, and probably should be way better than we are. So you say these last two matches here, we've looked better. I think we've looked fine or good at least the whole year. So it's just a matter of finding the back of the damn net. And I think we do that. I think Bees, I don't know if he scores, but he at least opens things up and allows us to get something going there. I think he starts. I hope to see Brown back, but I won't hold my breath. But I do think that I think we come away with a 2-0 win, which, as I say it, sounds insane to me. Looking at our previous results and just kind of how we're playing right now, but I do think Bees brings enough to get a win there. When we start talking about the Phoenix match the next week, or even Colorado Springs the week after that, those might be two different stories. But as for Monday, I think we end up finding a way to get a 2-0 victory there. I don't think Austin's attack is good enough. Hopefully, Kaelin's back. But honestly, one thing that I want to touch on before we get out of here, the play of Rashid Tete, Justin Smith, and Austin Yearwood against Oakland, and frankly against El Paso as well. Yes, the ball went in off of Schmidt's foot. That was just one of those mad scramble plays that, shit happens. But you take away that, and that back line has been incredible over the last two matches without Kaelin. And I was worried when we found out Kaelin was hurt and was having some back issues. I was nervous. So to know that we've got three guys back there, even with Kaelin out, that can kind of hold down the fort, and no, they did not get a clean sheet either time, but they still impressed the hell out of me, especially Rashid this last match. I mean, he was a brick wall back there, and Coach mentioned it a little bit in the press conference. That was more of what we saw in 2019 from Rashid, and that right there is one of the most exciting things about last night's match, is that he is coming back into form, because I thought he was our best defender. In fact, I think he was voted best defender in year one. And so to have him come back into form, and I think he battled a lot of injuries and just had some dings here and there, and just had a rough go of it for last year with COVID and everything, and just not being able to stay healthy. I think now that he's finally back in the groove, he's a huge asset to our back line. And I think he will allow Hamilton, when he comes back, to be a little more versatile, and maybe we don't have to give Ryden 98 minutes every match or anything like that. So just wanted to shout out that back line, especially Rashid, and I mean, Yearwood's been a stud all year, so nothing changed there, but Rashid coming into his own is huge. And so I think we get a shutout, whether with Ryden or without. I think we get a shutout, and it's going to be 2-0 us.
So I have to backtrack on what I said. So I said 1-1 draw. I don't think that. I did some soul searching, sitting here quietly on my own little island, and I've decided it's gonna be 3-1.
That's a
Austin?
complete difference.
No, 3-1 us.
Okay.
So it'll be 1-1. Austin will try to park the bus. someone comes in second half, maybe by name of Bees or
Oh, Bees better start. I'll be pissed if he doesn't start.
um, opens things up. We score another one, and then we score another one late in the second half.
All right, there you have it, folks. That is our predictions for Austin Bold on Monday night. That is a 7 p.m. kickoff time, according to USLChampionship.com. I think that's going to just about do it for us here tonight. A lot of discussion tonight, a lot of great discussion. So appreciate all of you hanging out with us and listening in your podcast feed or being here live with us on YouTube, as you can do each and every week. So I think with that being said, anybody have any final comments before Jacob gets us out of here? No? All right. Just real quick, guys, it is Thursday night. Tomorrow, the mask mandate goes back into effect in New Mexico. I know that we are all sick and tired of it, but please do what you can to keep yourselves and those around you healthy. And also tomorrow morning, Friday morning, I will be on the morning mix once again with Joshua Carrillo. Probably not going to be talking about sports this time, at least not too much. But if you have the opportunity to check that out, radio.telabq.com.
Nice. I want to give a huge shout out to, I love to point out when former United players are doing good, unless your name is Santi Moa, in that case, fuck you. But Samson Sergi, currently of Loudoun United, had a first half brace last night against Indy 11. It's great to see. He's a player that I wish we would have kept hung on to. Maybe, we had some health issues when he was here that kept him out, and that was a really big bummer. But I'm glad to see him healthy again and doing good and making a difference over there in Loudoun, and happy that he gets his first brace of his professional career tonight or last night. So just wanted to throw that out there before we wrap up. And with that, guys, thanks for joining us. We've been a little sporadic with our schedule lately, but such is life sometimes. So we should be back next Tuesday after that Austin match, hopefully talking about 3 points, a huge 3 points for us, and maybe 3 goals, or at least multiple goals. And would love to have you on the YouTube page, YouTube channel, watching us and commenting and interacting with us. And reach out on Facebook or Instagram. The Twitter is currently down right now. I still can't get into it, but eventually on Twitter again, or you can just reach out to Seth or Earl personally on Twitter, or Somos Mas Pod.
Yep.
Question mark. Yeah, Somos Mas Pod on Twitter. Seth runs that one. So again, thanks so much. Reach out to us. We love this club. We love the community, the state of New Mexico. We love you guys, and we want you to be involved in it and with what we're doing. So we would love to do a little bit more. We just we're 3 guys spread out over 2.5 hours of New Mexico nothingness, basically. And so we could use some help every once in a while. So if you want to be a part of what we're doing and help us do a little more, then reach out to us for sure. And just come back next week. We'll be here. We'll be talking about the games. I know Seth will be live tweeting the match for ESPN Radio, so interact with him on there, and then come back and see us on Tuesday. And until then, guys, Somos Unidos.
All right, you two. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. And